The crew headed for the colony in search of an alien planet, but unknowingly they actually arrived on Earth 4 billion years ago. A deadly virus has infected all plants on Earth, destroying forests and vegetation worldwide. As a result, the atmosphere has changed and the oxygen content is greatly reduced. Additionally, food from virus-infected plants causes autoimmune diseases in humans. Humanity's greatest hope in this apocalyptic scenario is a project created by Dr. Gemini called Project Gemini. Developed by Stephen Ross. This project is based on two unique extraterrestrial artifacts discovered by archaeologists. One of the artifacts is a unique-looking orb and the other is a warp engine. Archaeologists have found that these two relics are 4 billion years old to him. This means they came to Earth long before there was life on Earth. Stephen explains in his presentation that warp engines can be used to warp through space and easily reach distant solar systems. The function of the sphere is to create life and an environment suitable for that life on the planet. A terraforming machine. Stephen explains that it was this sphere that actually created life on Earth 4 billion years ago. He added that we do not know what extraterrestrials left the sphere, but we do know that the process can be repeated on other planets. Humans were able to duplicate and use these two devices, he explains. They used warp engines to send probes to other solar systems to discover planets suitable for terraforming and colonization. Stephen introduces a team of scientists embarking on a mission to terraform other planets before the rest of humanity can populate Earth. The team includes Peter Lehman, Leona Redwood, and David Kurtz. They will be assisted in this mission by a military unit led by Major Ryan Connell. As Stephen and his crew prepare to board the rocket ship, Stephen's friend Amy rushes in to stop him. But by the time she arrived, it was already too late and the rocket had taken off. While preparing for warp and traverse, Peter and David do a final check of the engine and sphere. They speculate about the origin of these objects, and in the process form strange patterns and cracks on the sphere's surface. The crew fastens their seatbelts and prepares to enter the wormhole that the engine forms. Each member has an object close to their heart, such as a teddy bear or a Bible. Starting the warp drive will put the ship into a wormhole. However, the onboard computer reports a critical error and the entire crew faints. The ship has completely traversed the wormhole, and once the journey is complete, the crew wake up to find themselves in front of a blue planet. After reading the star charts, they conclude that they have not reached their intended solar system and do not know where they are. Stephen loses his cool when he sees Peter in charge of entering coordinates and checking the engine before starting his warp drive. Peter claims to have checked the engine, but Stephen is furious and tells Peter that he will be relieved of his duties until further notice. Stephen says that by traveling to the wrong part of the universe, they have already failed their mission and doomed everyone on Earth. Stephen remembers the sweet moment when he sat in his room looking at Amy's picture and told Amy they were like quantum-entangled particles connected to each other through time and space. Steve also recalls his memories of when he was working with the orb, encountering an unexplainable being. An army official explained to Steve that passing through a wormhole put him into an unknown fourth dimension, and after traveling a short distance, he returned to a third dimension in an unknown part of the universe. They can't go back until they know where they are. At this moment the ship reports that an unknown object is approaching. The object was Peter's frozen corpse. An investigation reveals that Peter went to the engine lock to check the engine, against Stephen's orders. They believe that Peter killed himself out of guilt after learning it was all his fault, but Leona claims she knew about him and would not do it. Stephen scolds Leona, who mourns Peter even though his mistake on Earth could have claimed millions of lives. Stephen and David discuss David's late daughter Rita, which motivated him to come here. At that moment, Stephen thought of considering the blue planet in front of him as a candidate for terraforming. Initial data indicates the planet is fairly stable, and Steve says terraforming missions should be conducted here. Others, especially Ryan, do not agree with this decision because they do not know enough about Earth. Despite this, Stephen takes the initiative and carries out the order to land the orb on the planet and start terraforming it. The entire crew, except Richard, a member of the military, board the lander and prepare to descend to the surface of the planet. Their descent was interrupted by a freak storm that came out of nowhere, leaving them no choice but to dump their fuel tanks to survive the plunge. They fall to the surface. Steven recalls another memory of him and Amy when he gifts Amy with a bracelet made of sphere material as an apology for spending too much time on his job. The crew wakes up and realizes their situation. They realize they no longer had enough fuel to return to the main ship in orbit. Steven says they are here to terraform this planet and make it livable, so they don't need to go back. His enthusiasm is clearly not shared by all. The crew has brought bullets to a heavily guarded cave in the mountains where they are preparing to fire. As they move the orb, a strange goo exists beneath where it was held in orbit on the main ship. Richard notices the same sticky substance on the machine's hatch wall and also finds a portable camera there. Steven fires a bullet in a mountain cave and the entire crew returns to the lander. Ryan arrives on the lander and declares martial law in effect. When Steven says he wants to know why, he points to Richard, saying he's found new information. Richard shows footage from his handheld camera. In the video, Peter tries to prove the engine was right by recording the inspection as he steps into the engine to inspect it. He is being attacked by some crawling creature. According to Richard, the first time the creatures appeared in the sphere was when they left Earth, and CCTV footage also shows the creatures inside the engine when they enter the wormhole, which coordinates are. It means that you messed up. They call this creature a Trojan horse, because this creature invaded the sphere in the same way that a soldier invaded a Trojan horse. Leona tells Richard to beware of the Trojan horse, who hides in a sphere and came to this planet with them. At that moment, David reveals that the sphere is terraforming, but not the way they programmed it. Steven says the sphere's program needs to be adjusted, but Ryan says Steven no longer has the authority to give orders. All the scientists on board support Steven, but Ryan asks Richard to record another surveillance footage of Steven's encounter with a mysterious being on Earth. Steven did not tell anyone about this encounter. Ryan says Steve wasn't completely honest about what he knew about the sphere and as a result he was stripped of his decision-making powers. He says Steven's secret took Peter's life. Steven leaves. Against Ryan's orders, Steven decides to go to the sphere and adjust the settings. He tries to persuade David to join him, but when David refuses, he coerces, saying that if nothing is done, the whole Earth will die like his daughter Rita. Steven and Ryan arrive at the orb to find that it has created some sort of green life form and is adjusting its settings. Realizing the Trojans are on the way, David says he has to go. Steven refuses to leave and David fires warning shots into the air. When that doesn't work, he fires directly at the bullet, and Steven points the gun at David in response. Then the Trojan arrived and they ran back to the lander, barely making it back alive. Steven warned David that if he threatened the mission again, Steven would shoot him. Ryan comes in and punches a disobedient Steven. A warning goes off in the ship saying that the hull has been breached. Leona wakes up from the alarm and finds the sticky goo of the Trojan everywhere. She is assisted by a military personnel who gives up his own life to give her a chance to run away from the Trojan. Leona arrives in the central control room, and she and the rest figure out that the Trojan entered the ship from where the steel is the thinnest, which means that it is an intelligent being. They come up with a plan to lure the Trojan out of the lander by using Steven as bait so they can bring it right in front of the lander's boosters and fry it. Leona is given the task of opening an airlock so that the Trojan can come out and hide. The lander's engine fails at the last minute, and Rihanna has to go outside and keep the Trojans busy. However, when the engine starts she is in front of the booster and she gets fried. The Trojan chases Steven and David, and at the last moment they close the door in front of him, cutting off part of the door. Steven recalls trying to convince Amy not to join the mission because she was pregnant and was trying to develop a vaccine against a plant virus. Steven refuses, saying he must go on this mission and save the world. Steven runs tests for the truncated part of the Trojan, while David deals with the Trojan compromise. Steven finds out that the Trojan horse is a biorobot made from the same material, biosphere. He also learns that the bacteria in David's wounds hold the key to a plant virus vaccine. When they return to Earth, they must bring this information back with them. Steven runs a biorobot test, which causes a strange electrical fault, which turns out to be the mysterious being he encountered earlier in the cave. Ryan arrives and tells Steven that he has been arrested. Steve says he only cares about being the savior of the world and doesn't care how many people die for it. David agrees. Steve remembers Amy saying the same thing. Steven asks Richard to track their movements over 4 billion years and adjust the star map around them, which reveals their solar system. Steven realized that his fourth dimension they were traveling in was time, not space. Only 4 billion years ago they are still on Earth today. He deduces that the bullet fragments that flew when David shot them are the fragments David used to make the bracelet he gave Amy. These are actually the same thing as the globes on Earth. Meanwhile, David has a severe infection. Steve leaves a message on Amy's bracelet, which only appears when the water falls. The messages are the orders of the spheres, allowing them to communicate across time. Ryan plans to plant a bomb in the cave with bullets to kill the Trojan, but Steven persuades him that it is a better plan to lure the Trojan to the lander and kill him there. At that moment, an infected David comes and starts shooting at them. She says that if we kill her right now and destroy her orbs, humanity will not be born and Rita will not have to suffer. Steven shoots and injures him. He goes out and launches a flare to lure in the Trojan with a bomb timer going down. Steven fights both the Trojan and an insane David. The Trojan kills David, and Steven manages to get out of the ship before the bombs explode and kill the Trojan. With a limited oxygen supply left, Steven goes to the cave and hopes that Amy got his message and will contact him. Amy finds a bracelet in the rain and receives a message. She arrives at the cave, carries out her orders, and the two face each other. Steven gives her the details of the bacteria needed to create her vaccine and save the planet. Steven apologizes to her for not coming back to her and tells her he loves her very much. The two share a passionate kiss through time, and David falls into the present and dies. Amy's vaccine works. Flowers and plants are thriving again. Amy pushes herself and Steven's baby into a stroller so the baby can live a full and healthy life. End. Conclusion. In the end, the journey through time and space brought both triumph and sacrifice as Steven and his team faced the perils of an ancient Earth, battled a mysterious biorobot, and ultimately contributed to the salvation of their planet through the unwavering determination of Steven and Amy's enduring love. Their dedication to the mission and to each other ensured that humanity would thrive once more, blossoming like the renewed life on the rejuvenated Earth. Thanks again from Movies Recapped. If you enjoyed this movie recap, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more captivating narratives and engaging content. Please also comment on your thoughts and so I know you subscribed and I will reply back to you.